And today what we're going to do is we're going to do the top 5 hair metal albums you should own, but probably don't. Chris, where can we get your new book? Where can we get it?
Jericho 30, Jericho30.com. I self-published it the same way you did. Joey helped me get the idea. And here I am, dude. I can't keep them on the proverbial shelves.
Do I get a percentage of this book because of that?
Absolutely. Check is actually in the mail. I'm sending it to Playground at the Bronx. 3570 is the area code, zip code, whatever the fuck it is.
Welcome to Top 5 with Joey Casada. Starring Joey Casada.
Team Jesus, my friend. Am I walking around, Park?
Co-starring Ernie Palooza. And the Doctor, Tommy Snyder.
Goddamn.
Now here's your host, Joey Casada.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Top 5. I'm your host, Joey Casada.
And I'm Ernie Mutt Lang.
You are definitely no Mutt Lang, Ernie, that's for sure. And with us today, a very special guest, Mr. Hollywood, the singer of Fozzy, the author of the new book that I don't have yet. I only have a piece of paper. The complete list of Jericho right there. Hitting the charts right now, right? Mr. Chris Jericho. What's up, buddy?
I have been waiting at least for 5 to 10 minutes to do this show. I'm so excited to be here.
Are you a big fan of Top 5?
Top 5 lists, top 10 lists. Yes, I'm not necessarily a big fan of this show per se, but I am a fan of lists. So as anybody here would know, including the complete list of Jericho, as you had that nice poster, which I'm assuming that you downloaded from online and printed it out. Thank you for that.
I've been waiting for my screener copy, and this is what I get. So this is what I have so far.
Well, that's all you need because you can hold it up and promote it. You don't actually have to read it.
That's true.
I never read your books either. So.
Oh, I know you read them, you son of a bitch. Speaking of me, since this is my show, this is a gorgeous shirt you're wearing today. What do you got on today?
I'm not this old thing. I found actually the bottom of my kitty litter box. It really sops up the urine really well. But yeah, it's actually a Paul Stanley Crazy Nights picture. But if you look closely, there's more to it than that. It's got a bigger penis than usual.
I know you love that blue thong. That's why I had to do it. That's your favorite shot of all time.
It's amazing how much you look like Frank Stallone in that picture.
Well, it's, the hairy chest really brings out the nose. That's what it is.
No, man, this is exciting. I'm glad that this worked out. And I spent at least 20 minutes putting together, actually 20 seconds putting together my list. And it's going to be great. This
is going to be a fun topic. I wanted to have you on for this. So, I hate to categorize this topic as hair metal and hair metal bands. But, for today's topic, when we're going to use those words, I know Eddie Trunk loses his mind when we say those words, but I don't mind those words. I don't think it's bad to categorize this type of music as hair metal. I think it summarizes it. It summarizes it pretty well. And today, what we're going to do is we're going to do the top 5 hair metal albums you should own, but probably don't.
Yeah, and I think that this is something that people always want to do is categorize certain eras. Whereas I don't think it's the bands themselves. Like I think like grunge, like what is grunge? I mean, you put on like Soundgarden or Alice in Chains now, it's just heavy metal, at the time though, it was put into this grunge category. And it's the same with hair metal. It's not so much the style of music, it's the year that it came out. Right. So because it came out from, 85, maybe 86 to like 90, 91, it was categorized as hair metal. Meanwhile, if it would have come out, 5 years earlier, it just would have been whatever. Like if Van Halen would have come out in 1986, they probably would have classified that as hair metal.
Right.
You know,
and it wasn't known as hair metal when, during that time. Because I remember, obviously, I'm playing the music scene. I'm trying out for bands all over the place during this time. And I remember, posting ads in the local papers and answering ads. And most of the ads would say, and the ones what I would write, commercial hard rock or, pop metal or glam metal was a little bit out there, but I wasn't really glam metal. But pop metal, commercial, hard rock metal, stuff like that. Hair metal was never even a term.
Go ahead, Ernie.
Well, thank you, Mr. Jericho. I remember when Alice in Chains came out for a minute in time, they were classified as hair metal for like an instant.
Right. Sure. I mean, absolutely, because they kind of had that hair. Like like fucking Guns N' Roses, man.
Right.
I mean, when you look at the Welcome to the Jungle, Axl's hair is spiked out to the moon, and that kind of classified that as hair metal. But and we'll talk about this. I kind of have one that's maybe a runner up for the top 5. But if you look at, let's say, Skid Row, they're in the hair metal category. There's really nothing hair metal about them. If you're talking about the pop metal side, okay, well, they've got Can't Stand the Heartache and maybe 1 or 2 other songs, and then it's Slave to the Grind, and it's Subhuman Race, and it's Monkey Business, and it's Sweet Little Sister. I mean, those are heavy fucking songs. So I think, once again, it's not so much the style of music, it's the year that maybe you came out, and the fact that the hairstyle of the time was big poofy hair. The hairstyle of the time in the 60s, if you're in the Stones or the Kinks or the Beatles, was a really bad bowl cut. Like, they don't call it bowl cut rock. It's just rock and roll. So I think for whatever reason, hair metal is kind of used in a way as a derogatory term, when basically all it is it's used to describe the years that the band came out and became popular, and the style of hairstyle that they had, which really had nothing to do with the music. Like, some of the bands went all in, like, Poison and those type of bands, but that was more glam than anything. The same way that the Sweet was glam in 1975, or Bowie, or, Slade, or any of those type of bands. So it's, in the words of Billy Joel, Joey's favorite, it's still rock and roll to me. It really doesn't fucking matter. But for the sake of today's topic, we'll follow along with it.
Exactly right. And, those few years when grunge came out, I think people try to categorize it in a bad way. Whereas I think now, 20 years later, 30 years later almost, I don't think it's necessarily thought of as a bad term, hair metal. I know people back then, even me, that, kind of rebelled against grunge, thought of when you said hair metal, you were cursing at me or, yelling at me and putting down what I loved. But it's really not. It's a way to categorize that music back then. No big deal.
Yeah,
Eddie Trump would not approve.
Well, I mean, I had Billy Corgan on Talk is Jericho years ago, and we were talking like, what exactly is grunge? And he goes, that's a great point. Like, what is grunge? He said, to me, it's all derivative of Black Sabbath. We're all trying to be Black Sabbath, maybe combine it with a little bit of Beatles. And that's what Nirvana is. And that's what Smashing Pumpkins is. And you can hear that vibe. I mean, Pearl Jam is Neil Young type music. Like, Neil Young is grunge too, then, I guess. So anyways, people just like to slot music wherever in a nice little, package. But reality, like I said, music is music, and either it's good or it's bad, and you can put whatever tag you want onto it. But unfortunately, some of these bands were kind of piled on because of the style of music and the look that they had when there was the big change in the early 90s.
Well, when I use hair metal, that expression, I don't do it to put down the music that you love. I use it to put down you.
You son of a bitch. What, are you making fun of my hair just because I still have beautiful hair?
Oh, I'm jealous.
I like that you grew it out a bit. You should grow it a little bit longer. I like that.
This is good. A little longer gets a little
don't
crazy.
Like the Vince Neil kind of at the shoulders. Just grow it out just a bit. That's good.
What are we talking about? Like right to the Kiss logo?
Well, a little bit long. In between. Meet me in the middle. Another half inch, and you'll look much cooler.
Just enough to cover the Kiss logo, actually.
No, we never want to hide the Kiss logo. Gene would not approve.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's dive in. So either way, the reason why we named it hair metal, because obviously I knew when I sent you the category, you would know exactly what we're talking about. We're talking about albums that you should have if you're a hair metal fan, but probably don't? Chris, you're up first. What do you got? Number 5.
Oh, I'm okay. Well, I didn't put these in any particular order. I just came up with 5. I'll jump right in with a band from Canada. They're called Harem Scarum. And no one really knows this band in the States. They didn't have a lot of steam, but in Canada, they didn't really have a lot of steam either, but they had a little bit of a name value. But this is a band that was like number 1 in like the Philippines and like weird places like that. They had a great guitar player called Pete L'Esperance and a great singer called Harry Hess. And the album is called Mood Swings.
Mood Swings.
Now, nobody has probably heard this record, I guarantee from the very first song, it's going to blow your mind. Like I have a certain list of albums that to me, every song is great. And this is funny. I haven't thought about mood swings in years until you came up with this idea of doing the top 5 hair metal bands. And it's kind of like extreme. It's kind of like Trickster, but it's a little bit heavier, but it has a lot of melody to it. And the guitar player is just a monster. So,
what year is that?
This is 1993.
Oh,
once again, they can't, if this would have come out in 1988 and had a little bit of a push behind it, there was a huge collection of bands in the late 80s, early 90s that came out of Canada. Sven Gali, Slick Toxic, Harem Scarum is in there. There's a band called Haywire. There's a band called Brighton Rock. They came out like it's typical Canada. Like we just got into REO's,
right?
Yeah, we just got into this band called REO Speedwagon, Keep on Loving You, a couple of years ago. It's really great. But like it's just a little bit behind. And had they come out a little bit sooner with kind of more of a push, they would have been huge. So go check out Harem Scarum Mood Swings. If anybody's just looking for something to listen to, it's on Spotify. And I guarantee that you will like it.
Is that their first record?
No, there was a couple before that. And there's actually 1 or 2 afterwards. But I got into them because I used to read this Canadian metal magazine that was free at record stores. It was called Meat Magazine. Metal events around Toronto is how it started. And they were pushing Harem Scarum, Harem Scarum, Harem Scarum. So I checked it out. And like I said, dude, it is one of my ancillary all-time favorite records. Is it in my top 100? No, but I could put this on and just go all the way through. The guitar work alone will blow your mind. It is very, very, very good stuff.
Nice. Good start. I had a feeling you were going to go really obscure. Probably.
Well, that's what you wanted, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if Ernie went that way, but I did a little bit. I'm probably right in the middle of you two. I think Ernie went more popular. You went crazy obscure. I'm probably right in the middle.
Okay.
What do you got, Ernie? Number 5.
Oh my! Compared to Chris's thing, this is gonna sound ridiculous. You Can't Stop Rock and Roll by Twisted Sister.
Interesting.
When I'm looking for trouble, just for some fun. But we're all ready if you want to start. So just remember the kids are back. The kids are back. Oh, watch out, the kids are back.
All right. No, I mean, go ahead.
I was 14 when Stay Hungry came out, so I was aware of how great that album was. But I got to give credit to my brother Rob, who got me into Under the Blade and this album. And I think if this album would have came out after Stay Hungry, it would have been a whole different situation, particularly in America.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think with Come Out and Play, I think it flopped, and coming out with the 2 cover songs right off the bat, Leader of the Pack, and terrible move. We had Eddie and Mark on here a couple weeks ago, and they were saying the same thing, how that was just a terrible move.
What was the second cover, Joey?
Leader of the Pack and Jesus Christ.
Was it Be Cruel to Your School?
Yes, Be Cruel to Your School.
Well, that wasn't a cover, which is, once again, though,
well,
it's in the same vein of
right.
What the fuck are you doing, right? I never considered that era of Twisted Sister hair metal. And that's the thing with Twisted Sister. It's amazing to me how similar Twisted Sister and Quiet Riot are. Two separate, two ends of the country, West Coast, East Coast. Both of them got huge in their area, and nobody would touch them with a 10-foot pole until they did. Basically, debut albums to the mainstream come out, blow the fucking doors off, and then both of them completely lose their way that quickly. And they both have loudmouth lead singers, all etc. It's so similar. And Twisted Sister had the gimmick of the glam, which you look at it now, and it's so like, it's really weird. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's not like the girl glam like Poison did and everyone else tried to look pretty. They tried to look like monsters almost.
Yeah, and there's the line that Gene uses in every fucking interview, including the A&E documentary. We look like, linebackers in drag,
right?
Or football players in tutu, which I believe Paul used one, Gene used the other. But Twisted Sister, their music was way heavier. Like, they were almost like Motorhead on Under the Blade and Motorhead on You Can't Stop Rock and Roll. So it's weird to me how they did go into kind of, it's almost kiddie metal, right? Like,
yeah,
it's anthemic, but much like Kiss in 79, Twisted Sister in 84, there were so many little kids that loved them because they became cartoon characters.
Yeah, those videos. Those two MTV videos were like, I mean, I remember even when my kids were really, really little, they loved them. They loved watching, I Want to Rock and We're Not Going to Take It. They loved those videos. It was like watching Nickelodeon.
And like, they could have probably done a Saturday morning TV show, a cartoon show, and knowing Dee, they probably tried. But once again, the reason why kids like us got into it, I think I was 14 or 15 or 13, whatever it was, is because they were fucking heavy. And then they become a kid band. And that's where it's like, okay, now this is total hair.
Right.
Which becomes derogatory.
And it's so funny. Like, there's that fine line, like you said, they were so big on the East Coast with their heavy sound with Under the Blade and You Can't Stop Rock and Roll. Then they get the big record with Stay Hungry. They go a little more commercial. Dee even talks about basically copying Quiet Riot with Come On Feel the Noise with We're Not Going to Take It. He said, we're going to do a song just like that. Same thing. He even told AJ, I want a drum intro just like that, but cooler. So, they went that route on purpose. But, did you sell your soul to the devil to get that success? I'm sure, they probably wouldn't have traded it for the world because they were the biggest band in the world for, maybe that 6-month period when those two songs came out. But did it kill the rest of their career? Who knows?
Well, and that's the thing. And like I said, like, it's an interesting choice from Ernie because I don't consider that to be a hair metal album.
Yeah.
But as the band moves on, it becomes, Love is for Suckers. And it's like, holy shit. They just,
that's on my honorable mentions later. I love that record.
Completely lost the plot, but it's a good choice.
Mark and JJ brought up a good point, not to harp on Twisted Sister, but and I didn't even think of this at the time. If you remember, Dee went in front of Congress, with that whole, the Tipper Gore thing and all that. And they basically said that obviously that was a mistake and they got blacklisted after that. And it crushed them. MTV washed their video and it was the end of them.
Yeah. Much like, Dubrow and Dee were one and the same, man. Dee-Bro. They both killed their own bands,
Mark scared me.
Mark is a little frightening. Yes. All right. So my number 5, I'm going to go with one of my favorite bands of all time, top 5 favorite band. The band is Enough's Enough. And then there's a band, I know they had that one pretty big debut album. They had Fly High Michelle and New Thing videos all over MTV. But after that, they pretty much fell off the map. Now, Ernie and I are big fans. I followed their career. I know literally 10 to 12 of their records, top to bottom, almost perfect records, in my opinion. Great records. But, they got a little more sophisticated throughout the years. They got more Beatlesque and more Cheap Tricky over the years. I went backwards, actually, and I picked, there's an album they released in 1994, but it was called 1985.
There's something in the air that says that you'll be here tonight. So I changed some things around, put dimmer bulbs in the lights. Now
was songs that were recorded before their debut album. And it was how they were trying to get a deal back in 84, 5, 6, and they never got a deal until 88, 89. These songs on this record, Enough's Enough, 1985, pure pop metal hits, just hook after hook after hook, right along the line. You put this out back then in front of Poison and Cinderella and all this stuff. It's just a perfect blend of hooks and, just enough flashy guitar and cool drum sound, just top to bottom, killer pop metal record. Enough's Enough, 1985.
We'll be talking about them again later.
I figured
it's interesting. Like I never, and see, here's the thing for me. I know you came from a real Kiss scene. Like, how old are you right now, Joey?
47.
And how about you, Ernie?
51.
Okay, so I'm 50. So I'm kind of in the middle of you guys. So I know you kind of came in as a young Kiss fan, but to me, I was always Kiss was great, but I was Maiden, Priest, Scorpions,
right.
Ozzy, which then transposed to Metallica, Anthrax, Megadeth. So I always liked a little bit heavier, and I did have a little bit of that kind of poser type attitude. And so I would look at Ben. It's funny because I just spoke with the Shout Out Loud guys last week about Poison. I loved Poison for whatever reason, but if I saw a name like Enough's Enough, I drew the line. Like, that's just a stupid name. I'm not.
Just out of curiosity, why Poison? Why were you okay with Poison then?
I'll tell you the reason why. Because there were some of the guys that I hung out with that really loved Poison right out of the gate. Like I mentioned this on Shout Out Loud. We called them air bands. They're lip syncing contests. And I remember they did, and this is like the drummer of my band. And all we did was Metallica and Maiden and Megadeth and Dio and that sort of stuff. But he did his air band with 3 other guys. And this is right when Talk Dirty to Me came out, which was spring of 87 or so. And they did an exact reenactment of that video for their air band. Right. They throw the guitars and all the shitty guitars that, 16-year-old kids can afford. There was 5 of them, but still. And so it became cool. And also when we played high school parties, yeah, we could show how great we are by playing Seek and Destroy and Hallowed Be Thy Name. But if you wanted chicks to be involved, we figured out how to play Talk Dirty to Me, which is very easy. And so they liked it. We played Talk Dirty to Me. We play You Really Got Me. And I think we played maybe DOA or something from Van Halen. And then we could go noodle and be cool heavy metal guys. Right. So for whatever reason, Poison slipped through because of Talk Dirty to Me. So that they were okay with us, right? But then at Enough's Enough, when I saw that and I saw like the big stupid, like, Rudy from Fat Albert hats, just like,
yeah, Chip still wears those.
Chips Enough. And I remember just thinking like, I can't go there. I'll do Poison and all this, but is enough. It's just like, yeah.
I think age has so much to do with that too. Obviously, so 87, you're 17 probably, right? 17-ish,
16,
right?
16, yeah.
Going on 17. Right. I'm 12, 13. So those 4 years, because my brother's about your age too. He did exactly what you did. He went to Metallica and Megadeth and Testament and all that stuff, where I stayed with Cinderella and Poison and Enough's Enough and so on and so forth.
Right. Yeah, like I said, it is age, and also too, like, it's so funny to talk about this now. And Ernie, you'll be right. Where are you from, Ernie?
Brooklyn.
Okay, so you're L'Amour's, the whole fucking thing. There was a real like poser attitude. Like these guys are posers. And if you like this band, then you're a poser. And I remember growing up in that element. I was on the local video show once. They had it was called a career symposium, where you would go and all these people like, here's how you become a pharmacist, or here's how you become a cabinet maker. And you'd go hang out, and they had the local, it was called City Vision. And the host was Terry Klassen. And all of us like bunched up to the front to try and get on TV. You know what I mean? Because he was doing the City Vision with cuts in and out from the career symposium. And I was in front, and I was like, fuck, I couldn't believe it. I was in the front row. And I remember him like I had my Iron Maiden Power Slave shirt on, and you're too cool to talk. And he's like, what's your name? I'm Chris. You like Bryan Adams? He's all right. Dude, I got raked over the coals for the next month. Oh, you think Bryan Adams is all right? Bryan Adams is fucking great.
Awesome.
But because I said Bryan Adams was all right, all the metal guys, you're a poser, you're a poser. So there was still that attitude around. So when Enough's Enough came out, you might be able to get by with the guys that were listening to Celtic Frost and freaking Destruction with the Poison because the chicks like it. But you're going to go down Chips Enough, you're a poser.
I'll tell you. You mentioned L'Amour's. My first time I ever went to L'Amour's, I went to see Anthrax. I was 12, going on 13, and in the middle of the street, in the middle of Brooklyn, I was walking there with my brother down the block. There must have been 50 kids on one side, 50 kids on the other side. Metalheads, which probably more of the poser side of metalheads, and skinheads on the other side.
Yeah.
And I remember two guys, like it was literally like a gang. They walked up to each other. The skinhead was about 4'11", and the metalhead was about 6'4". Skinhead took out a pipe, slammed him in the head. All hell broke loose. I walked right past him, right into L'Amour's. That was my first experience. I said, holy shit, what have I gotten myself into?
One of the coolest things from the early years of Fozzy is we played L'Amour's before it closed down. I'm not sure if it was L'Amour's West or East, but the last one that was open,
East.
We played that. East was probably 2002, 3, 4, something like that. So we did get to play L'Amour. It was great.
Awesome. All right, we're back to you.
That symposium should have been called. Here's how you become a poser.
Career symposium.
Symposium, right?
All right, I'm going to go something a little bit more mainstream. Our friend Steve Brown just played. What's that?
Thank goodness.
Our friend Steve Brown just played his Tokyo Motor Fist, Tokyo Motor, what are the other, Motor Finger,
Tokyo Dynamite
with the singer of this band, Ted Poley from Danger. I think their second record, Screw It, which I always call monkey business as well. I kind of make mistakes with that. I think that's one of the best pure hair metal records of the era.
Now tonight gonna start a little trouble in town, 'cause it's alright. Yeah, it's alright. Got my 350 Chevy with 4 on the floor. Love to hear the sound of the engines roar. What a feeling. What a feeling. Cruising down the boulevard, searching for the Queen of Hearts. Looking for some action. Whoa, just another crazy night, having such a good time. Crazy night.
Once again, had two things going against it. One, the opening single was Monkey Business, the exact same week that Skid Row's single Monkey Business came out. And also the fact that it came out in the fall of 91, which is probably the same week that Nirvana came out, which just blew this band out of the water. They didn't stand a chance. But Screw It, this to me is the epitome of a hair metal record, because it's just all about sex. It's, Slip to the Big One. I mean, it's hard to get away with that. I mean, that's one that Gene Simmons is going, I should have thought of that. But it's catchy. It's very, everybody wants some, not the Van Halen version, Crazy Nights, all of these great tunes. Monkey Business is great.
Well, every song you named is a title on a different record, right? Holy cow.
Record. Exactly. Don't Blame It on Love. I mean, they've every song on this record, it's very catchy. Once again, way too much with the overtly sexual lyrics, which are not cool at all. Even when I was 20 years old and I bought this, I'm like, this is Slip to the Big One. I mean, come on. How did this slip through the cracks of whoever's fucking producing or A&Ring this thing? But it's a great record. It really is. And to me, I did not like their first record. I think I don't like it at all. I don't like any other records they ever put out, but this one, for this moment in time, is just a tremendous, glam metal, sex metal, hair metal record.
Danger, well, Ernie?
Not really, no.
Yeah, I remember the first record a little bit. I don't know this one at all. Wow.
Yeah, this was, like I said, this is the one I think it's a lot like Warrant, Dog Eat Dog, for example. That's
Right.
another one I could choose. Where I think they probably, you heard the story. They show up at the record company and the Danger poster's been replaced by fucking, Mother Love Bone or whatever it is. And I think they just got caught in the crossfire.
Yeah.
But once again, if you're looking for, if you like the first Danger, just like that vibe of good time rock and roll, I mean, they'd be perfect for the M3 concert that just happened this week. I'm sure they've played it before.
Right.
But it's awesome. It really is awesome. And it's one of those ones too where they have a keyboard player in it for no apparent reason, just because Bon Jovi did. And he does about as much in his band as David Bryan does in Bon Jovi, which is basically fuck all.
Yeah, the years too. I mean, a lot of my records too that I picked right around these same years, they get killed. 89, 90, 91, 92.
Yeah.
You're just getting killed at that point. Once those come out, even if they're released in 89 and then they don't get a push for a year and a half later, by that point, it's too late. Yeah, you're
and
done.
like you said, Joey, like I did rebel against grunge because I loved heavy metal so much. And it's weird because I was that exact demographic. I mean, I was 20 in 1991. Like I should have been a Nirvana fucking yes. I have teenage or early adult angst and, anger and aggression and aggro, but I still held on to heavy metal. It took me 10 years to appreciate the genius of some of those bands. And I just did not want to hear it. So when everyone was saying, go check out Nirvana and Dinosaur Jr. And this sort of thing, I was like, fuck it. I'll buy Danger instead. And nobody else bought it.
I was the same way, mainly because, again, I'm already trying to get a record deal, and I'm in the industry already. I'm young, but I'm recording and I'm shopping for labels and all this stuff. And when a label comes back and tells me, you not only do we not want you, but your whole genre of music is dead. I was like, you just killed my career. I'm dead.
You're washed up at 17.
Right. Exactly right. It's true. And I could never forgive.
That's the name of the Gig Pigs record. Washed up at 17.
That's my next book. I like that. Hold on, I'm gonna write this down right now. All right, Ernie, what do you got? Number 4.
All right, I'm going to Striper with this one. Soldiers Under Command.
We're gonna rock for something true. Tonight's the night, so let's lift up our hands. Jesus, King of Kings, yeah. Jesus makes me want to sing, yeah.
Okay.
Soldiers is a big record.
Yeah, dude. I almost got to throw a flag on that one. I mean, that's a platinum record.
Well, I looked it up and it said only gold, but maybe I'm looking at the wrong place.
But Soldiers is a big, a commercially successful record, I think.
Well, even if it's gold, I mean, that's successful, isn't it? But it's Ernie's choice, so give us your reasons, Ernie.
Well, I forgot what I was going to say already. Now
I'm not going to bag on you on your own show.
No, we got to argue with him. That's the whole point of the show.
All right.
When it first came out, it sold like 300,000 copies, which was a lot for an independent album.
Right.
But compared to the hair metal that we all know about, it was not a big seller. It eventually went gold, according to the site I was looking up anyway.
Yeah, 1988, it went gold. So at this point in time, it's probably 800, 900,000. I would assume.
And it only went gold because of the next record, because of To Hell with the Devil too, right? Because that's really their. I mean, I like Soldiers way more. Soldiers is one of probably my top 5 records of all time. But To Hell with the Devil is what pushed them commercially through the roof, right?
So what you're saying, Ernie, is this record now just getting the what is the exact name of this category? Top 5 hair metal albums you should listen to?
No, you should own, but probably don't.
Okay. So let me ask you this then, Ernie. Why are you saying this? You should own this, but you probably don't.
Well, this is for people that watch the show. As far as we go, I'm sure the 3 of us own it.
We all own it, but tell the people that watch the show.
Yeah.
No, good point.
Tell the people why you picked this one.
Oh, whatchamacallit, this album is great all the way through. Particularly the title track makes me want to sing. Surrender is near the end of the album, which is another great track. Reach Out and First Love. All these songs, the whole album all the way through, you got to own it.
I remember being in Catholic school, and we sometimes at the end of the day we would sing, like we would have the Battle Hymn of the Republic on, and I was the only one that knew it because I had my Stryper album, and I'd be like, yes. I used to. Oh my God! Again, for me, one of the best records ever.
Well,
sonically, every performance-wise, song-wise, everything.
Let me pick this up and what Ernie might be getting at, because I know where you're coming from. And all of us here are huge Stryper fans. I bought that record in 1985, so you don't have to convince me. I'm completely down with it. I think, once again, one of the problems with Stryper, going back to growing up in Winnipeg in the 80s, which was the ultimate heavy metal city in a lot of ways, people didn't want to hear it because of the religious aspect of it, And I'd be like, you guys don't get it. Like, these guys are the best dual guitar players, along with Halloween, which was another whole thing. Bullshit, they can't play. Dude, you got to listen to like Reach Out or The Rock That Makes Me Roll or any of these types of tunes. These double guitar solos, these aren't like harmony parts like Iron Maiden, where it's like, where it's like
just the same thing harmonized.
This is like like nobody does these. Like Maiden doesn't do that, and Priest doesn't do that. But a lot of people didn't want to hear it because of the Christian element to it. So, I mean, I can't believe in 2021 that anybody wouldn't want to listen to Stryper because of the religious overtones, but I'm sure there's still people out there who have an issue with that. If you do, put it aside, take your head out of your ass and listen to this band, because they are one of the greatest bands ever, whether you like the lyrics or not. I can't understand what frickin', what Eddie Vedder's saying half the time. He could be saying worship Jesus or worship Satan or whatever.
Who cares?
Who cares? Either you like it or you don't,
And later on, it would have been on one of my honorable mentions for later, but when they dropped the religious stuff for a little while, the record that I think nobody owns than they really should own is Against the Law. Against the Law is a phenomenal record, front to back. And again, they dropped the whole gimmick of the black and yellow, and they dropped the Christianity lyrics and all that stuff, and they just went full-fledged rock band. But again, we're talking, I think 90 or 91, probably somewhere around that area it was released. That music is that music is dead at that point, but 90. That is a solid record, Against the Law.
Yeah, and that's one that people who are Stryper fans might not even have.
Yeah.
So if you have, we'll do even a deeper dive. If you haven't heard Soldiers, get it. If you've heard Soldiers and you haven't heard Against the Law, that's even more down the rabbit hole.
Agreed. Cool. All right, here we go. So my number 4. This one is definitely my rarest one. Chris probably won't even know this band. I think Ernie will, because they were more local to our area. This is a New Jersey band, but for us and my crowd growing up, this record was as big as Soldiers or Look What the Cat Dragged In. This record was a very big record in my circle. And I didn't even know that it was more of a local band. It was an indie. I think they were on an indie label. They were never officially signed. This band is called Xenon. Xenon. They're on Spotify. The first record is, I think it's called America's New Design. It is just playing wise. These guys are such great players. They have a female bass player, which I think I read really hurt their chances of getting a big record deal. I think labels were Kalogner actually asked them to fire her, and they were like, screw you. And, once you do that, you're pretty much dead in the water. But this band, great hooks, killer, very Stryper-esque, all killer players, great drummer like Robert Sweet, a high vocalist like Michael, just killer, phenomenal players with really catchy songs. You remember Xenon, Ern?
Nope.
Really?
I never heard of them.
A little backstory. Ernie was Playground's quasi manager. So Ernie is the reason why Playground is not a platinum band right now.
Ernie's the reason why Playground's not a pewter band right now.
Well, I'll give you a little hint. The first rehearsal Ernie ever missed was the rehearsal we broke up. So we still blame him for breaking up.
He's like Brian Epstein. As soon as Brian Epstein was out of the picture, Beatles were done.
Exactly.
Playground was one of the biggest no-hit wonders ever.
We're big in the underground circle in Brooklyn, the deep alleys of Brooklyn. But check it out. I'll play some Xenon stuff when we put this episode together. Chris, I think you'll like it. It's along the heavier aspect too. It's like I said, Striper-esque, heavy enough, but still commercial.
I wonder what Xenon means. Does it have a name?
Yeah. You know what? I don't know. I think it might be.
What is it? How do you spell it?
Xenon.
Let's see. Xenon is a chemical element with the symbol Xe and atomic number 54. It's colorless, dense, odorless, noble gas found in Earth's atmosphere.
Well, that's right, number 54.
And that's another reason why they didn't get signed too. I remember reading an article not that long ago how when they were doing all their label showcases, this is, 87, 88, they were the opposite. They wanted no glam. They would come in T-shirts and jeans and, look.
Couldn't do that.
Yeah, and they got killed for it. And, they regret it now. But back then they were like, our music is going to do the talking. We're all great players. We don't need that crap. And, they got left by the wayside.
At first, when you said Xenon, I thought you meant Xyrus, which was Zakk Wylde's first band.
Also from Jersey, I think, right?
Yeah.
All right, Chris, we're back to you. What do you got, number 3?
All right, number 3, I'm going to go with a band from Sweden called Shotgun Messiah.
Oh, I know them.
And they have their first record that came out in the States and Canada was just simply called Shotgun Messiah. This is a band that I discovered on the Much Music Power Hour, which was the equivalent of the Headbangers Ball on Much Music because we never got MTV in Canada. And the first song was called Bop City. Very kind of glammed out, once again, big hair, weird names. The singer was called Zinny San, and the bass player, one of the greatest bass playing names of all time, Tim Tim.
Come on, really?
Yeah, Tim Tim. And Tim Tim actually ended up in Marilyn Manson for like 4 or 5 years. He was there for a long time. But this has also Harry K. Cody as the guitar player, and this guy is like if Malmsteen could write more accessible riffs. That's kind of what you're dealing with Shotgun Messiah. They had their next record. They had a big song called Heartbreak Boulevard. That one is not on this record. This one has, like I said, Bop City's on it. Scared is another song. Is it Scared? I can't remember what it was called. But it's a really cool album. And it's, once again, anything from Sweden or Finland or anything that ilk has a certain style to it. I guess you could go back to Hanoi Rocks. I've never heard a Hanoi Rocks song in my life. So I'm not going to pretend that I know them, but I'm sure Shotgun Messiah had that type of vibe, a little bit dirty, glammy. But once again, there's a song called The Explorer, which is an instrumental. That's one that you might want to check out if you are looking just to hear some great guitar playing. So Shotgun Messiah, self-titled. Go check it out. And the video is actually called, what's the video called? Shout It Out. That's a fun one.
I know. I don't remember what song I know. I know that band. They had some commercial success in the US, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Heartbreak Boulevard from the next record was on the radio, played quite a bit.
I feel like I might have they ever opened for Kiss? Or they did a tour with one of those bands in the 80s, right? I feel like I might have even seen them.
They might have. I don't know exactly what there's. I know they broke up very early on, let me say, I didn't see any touring of who they went with or anything like that, but they had some steam. They were on Relativity, which at the time had some money behind them. So yeah, they did have a little bit of, I know they had at least radio play and video play. So somebody was behind them to get them on there, because you got to be spending the money, as you guys know.
And what year is that second record?
That the record that I'm talking about came out in, let's see, when did it came out? That came out in 1989, and it went gold.
Oh,
so there you go, hit number 99 on the charts.
Hey, at least I heard of this group.
Yeah, it came, and then the next record. See, here's the thing. First one, it says sales 490,000. If that's true, I'm sure it's gold by now. Then the second one, 145,000, and it came out 2 years later, October 22nd, 1991. Too late, done.
But that's one of the main things. The reason why I started the show, Ernie and I, whenever we do a category, we love introducing people or having them introduce us to stuff we've never heard of. We do TV shows, we'll do movies, we do, cartoons, whatever it is. I love hearing other people's opinions on it. Like, I'm going to go listen to some of this stuff today. I love hearing stuff because I don't listen to a lot of new music, unfortunately, but there's a lot of old music that I don't know of that I'm sure I'll love.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like, anything that I'm picking out, I understand the idea is hopefully people will check. I'm not picking like, oh, these are super obscure just to be fucking, super credible. I think these are albums, once again, that legit fell through the cracks.
Agreed.
Just because of the time frame. All three of these that I've said so far, the Harem Scarum, the Danger and Shotgun Messiah, all of them, if you like this type of music, you will like that, because I love this type of music and I love all three of those records so far.
Ernie, you're up. What do you got?
All right. I know you guys been pulling me apart for being so mainstream, but this is a really good album. Slippery When Wet.
No, you son of a
okay, my number 3, Blackout in the Red Room. I love it.
Nice. Good call.
Gonna turn back to maybe. Blackout in the red room. Blackout in the red room.
Good call.
It's actually one of my favorite albums ever.
Love Hate.
Oh, I love this album.
Is that their first record?
Yeah. They kind of land somewhere between Guns N' Roses and Jane's Addiction.
Yeah.
They're a real dirty street sounding.
Yes.
They sound like they don't shower type of music, basically.
That is a great call. And keep in mind that the bass player's name is merely Skid.
Yeah. Skid and Tim. I like these names are coming.
Skid Tim. I'll back you up on that, Ernie. If you guys ever watch AW, you see a guy called Luther. He was always into this type of music. I remember there was a band called Puss in Boots he was into.
Yeah.
And Love Hate was the one that he kind of brought over. We used to laugh at Skid. And the name at the time that we'd never heard was Jizzy Pearl. He's the singer of the band. This is actually a band that he actually sang for first, not the 50 other bands that he's replaced people in.
Yeah, who's he in now? Jizzy Pearl's in
Quiet Riot.
Quiet Riot, yes.
Yeah, he's back in Quiet Riot. But this has a couple great tunes. Blackout in the Red Room is awesome. And the one that I always love was Rock Queen.
Oh, yeah.
Great song. Let me eat your cookies. I want to eat your cookies. And I'm telling you right now, he don't mean chocolate chip or oatmeal raisin.
Those are the kind of lyrics. Danger could have went a little more cryptic like that, right?
Exactly. And also, why do you think they call it Dope was the single, wasn't it, Ernie?
Yeah, that was that actually, I think, is the worst song on the album.
It's not good. I agree. I always hated when bands would do that release. Like I said, for Shotgun Messiah, Shout It Out was the video they put out. It's not even close to being the best song. It's like, why would you do that?
Slutsy Tipsy.
Slutsy Tipsy.
Yeah, I remember, again, I never got into them, but I remember Love and Hate. I kind of got a little away from, not the grunge stuff, but that dirty, faster Pussycat, Love Hate, those bands where they started really getting sleazy, even Guns N' Roses. I'll say it, we did a bands we secretly hate show. Guns N' Roses is up there for me. I never was a Guns N' Roses fan.
Never really.
No, I don't know. I liked the songs, liked the attitude. Something about Axl's voice always always killed me.
I can't go with you on that one, man. One of the greatest dirty,
I get
sleazy
it.
bands. But see, once again, because Guns N' Roses was so big, it gave bands like Love Hate a chance to really, come out because they were the very Guns N' Roses type vibe for sure.
That was the bridge from hair metal to grunge. That dirty metal, if you want to call it, whatever you want to call that sleazy LA Guns, Guns N' Roses, Faster Pussycat. Even Skid Row, in a way, they kind of bridged that gap. Skid Row, I always would like, but because Sebastian had that voice that I liked rather than some of this other stuff. Good pick, Ern. I like it.
Sure.
All right. My number 3. So this is probably a gold record, but I gotta bring it up because I think this band is completely forgotten about just because, again, same year, 89, they come out. Jakey Lee, Badlands. This band, I mean, there's a third record that I don't really know that well, but both of their first 2 records are unbelievable. Blues-based rock, we were talking about glam. This had no glam at anywhere near it. This was just complete blues. The first Badlands record, I know they had a couple singles. They had, Winter's Call and Dreams in the Dark, but all the other songs on this record, like Hard Driver and Street Sky Freedom, all of these songs, this bluesy, soulful singing from Ray Gillen, one of my favorite singers of all time, if not my favorite. Just a great band all around. Second record, just as good, even more bluesy, more Hendrixy sounding. Eric Singer was replaced for another drummer, which actually gave them a completely different vibe. The first Badlands record was very Zeppelin-esque. The second Badlands record was more like Hendrix. But these 2 records, even though the first one was semi-popular, I think most people don't know Badlands.
Yeah, it's interesting to me. This is a band that definitely slipped through the cracks for me. And it's funny because I love Jakey Lee. I love the Jakey Lee Ozzy records, obviously Bark of the Moon and Ultimate Sin. And I just never... once again, I remember seeing them on Much Music on the Power Hour. Dreams in the Dark, I think it was the first single from it.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I was never into the bluesy heavy metal. And I guess maybe something about it just didn't click with me. So never got, but everyone talks about Badlands. Everyone talks about how great they are. And I can't say that I agree or disagree. I just didn't catch it. You know what I mean? Didn't slip through the cracks for me. I should probably go back and re-listen to it.
First album.
If you do, start with the first record. It's really good. It's really, and live too. What a great band live. I used to see them at Lemoore all the time before they really blew up. Used to go all the time. And I'm 14, 15 years old and they're blowing my mind. This is the music I wanted to play right around that time. I think I saw Badlands, and then I think I saw Paul Stanley solo tour at Lemoore with Eric Singer. Then maybe 3-4 months later, Badlands came with Eric Singer. Just full circle. It was great.
It's amazing how many bands Eric Singer played, and people forget, like, obviously he's Kiss for years and he's Paul's guy now, but his career bio pre Paul Stanley solo tour, and for the couple years after is jam packed between Badlands and Alice Cooper and Lita Ford and Black Sabbath. Tons and tons of great bands he played in.
Yeah, he was a great drummer. He finally found a home in Kiss. He's been there, I guess on and off, but he's been steady since 2004. Now it's 17 straight years. That's a pretty good run.
I really, not enjoyed, but I thought it was really, I don't even know what the word is, interesting to see his reaction to being let go in that Kiss Annie autobiography, because Bruce was always like, I'm pretty good friends with Bruce, and he was always like, I knew it was coming, but Eric just seemed like he was taken completely aback by it, which you think like, fuck, dude, how could you not expect this?
You had to see it coming, but I remember I was in a Kiss tribute band around the time, so Eric did the reunion, obviously was let go in the reunion, and then he came back, if you remember, for like in the doc said that those 2001 shows when they couldn't get Peter on board. But then, which I don't even think they covered really, he got let go again. Yeah, when they did the symphony, and then they did the whole Aerosmith tour with Peter.
Yeah,
and I was in a Kiss tribute band at that time, and we did some conventions, and we did a convention in Puerto Rico with Eric, and Eric was not a happy man at that time. He, like you're talking 2001, 2, 3, he was not happy with Kiss at all.
And that's what Aerosmith, the promoters, said. To do this tour, you have to have 3 of the original 4 guys, and Ace had already fucked off, so they had no choice,
Right.
Because Peter was not playing good on that tour either. It was not good. The pads he was using the triggers, the triggers, it was just ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean the symphony he got by, but that whole Aerosmith tour was rough.
It was bad.
But Badlands, first Badlands, and then if you want to dive deep, go to the second Badlands. All right, what do we got? We got Chris. We're up to number 2. Here we go.
I am, once again, I have 3 left, kind of going back and forth. I'll go with some very good friends of ours. Mentioned Steve Brown earlier and PJ Farley. Talking about Trickster, their second record here is excellent. I think it's even better than the first one. The first one obviously went gold. Came out at the right time in early mid 90 or whatever. By the time Here came out, which was in the fall of 92, they were persona non grata for sure. And it's a drag because, once again, if you take Trickster's career and moved it back 5 years, they probably would have been 3 times the size as they were, because they had great songwriting. Obviously, Steve Brown is a great player. All of them are great players. They look great. They were young, and it just the time and vibe switched and the taste switched. But if anybody listening has not heard the record Here, man, you're missing out, because it's not even hair metal. It's just fucking rock and roll. It's a Van Halen album, basically. Just not, if Here falls in the forest, does anybody listen? And the answer is no. It just kind of fell at the wrong spot in time.
Yeah. I'm reading Nothing But a Good Time right now, that book.
Yes, great book.
And Steve has like a little chapter on his own talking about exactly this record. And he mentions how I think they were offered a smaller amount to do it locally, record the record pretty quick, and they didn't want to do it. They went out to LA and for a big budget, they took more time. And, that extra time they took and, to really make this record sound like what they wanted to sound, in hindsight, probably hurt them, because it comes out even a little earlier. You're talking about maybe at least to get one single out of it, rather than falling on deaf ears, because, grunge is taking over at this point.
Yeah, and it's a drag, like I said, too, because this is the perfect example of a band that has a first record, and then they take all the experiences, because they did a lot of great touring. We don't have to go through it with Scorps and Kiss and everything. And then their second record, you have your whole life to write your first record and a year and a half to write your second. They delivered the goods. Like, all the songs are well written, solos are great, harmonies are great. The singles could have been huge. And once again, it was done. And it must have been very frustrating for those guys to know, like, we've got this record that's way better than the one that went gold, and nobody gives a shit.
And Ernie, if you remember, we had Eric Martin on last week, and he uncovered the truth on where Trickster got. So Trickster, I really think, kind of started that. I always think of them starting that plaid movement, that and then the grunge took it over to the next level with Pearl Jam and stuff, tying it around their waist. But Eric Martin realized that, they stole that look from Johnny Depp in 21 Jump Street. And he's right. We uncovered the secret. Am I right, Ern?
Yep.
Yeah, great pick. Obviously, good friends of ours. PJ's playing with you and Fozzy and stuff now. I play with both of those guys, with Eric, with we do all Mr. Big and Trickster stuff.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's so great. And I knew Trickster just like everyone else growing up, but I only really knew that first record because that's what, was fed to us. So
and once
I get
again,
to play some of the newer stuff live with them. It's killer.
And once again, I tracked that down because I love that music, even though grunge was just tearing it apart. And I was like, I have to get here. I remember it's the same with Extreme 3, three sides to every story. It's like nobody gave a shit. And it just blew me away because both the albums beforehand were massive. They were everywhere and then they were nowhere. And I hated that about grunge doing that to all these great bands.
It's amazing what marketing will do because the fans were still there. The fans still love that. It's not that all the fans transferred over to grunge because there was still the fan base for that music. It's just that without that machine behind them, pushing them and promoting tours and promoting records and so on and so forth, they just started promoting something new. And no one even knew about the new Trickster record or the new tour or the new Danger record. So it just fell by the wayside and nobody knew about it. It was all marketing. It wasn't that the music necessarily was worse. If anything, it was getting better.
That's right. Exactly.
All right, Ern. What do we got? Number 2.
All right, I'm going to start by pointing out this album took almost a decade to go gold. So before I get it done, Love Drive by the Scorpions.
Wow.
I know Van Halen 1 would be the big bang moment for hair metal, but this album could be number 2.
Wait, what's on Love Drive again?
You got Loving You Sunday Morning, the title track.
Love Drive, Another Piece of Meat, Holiday, yeah. Four or five tracks that are on Worldwide Live for sure.
Oh, yeah. Most people don't know except for the live album, in America anyway.
Right.
Me growing up too, I was a big Worldwide Live fan. I don't know that record that well, and I'm a big Scorpions fan too.
Well, so check it out though. Loving You Sunday Morning, Another Piece of Meat, Coast to Coast, and Holiday are all from Love Drive. So you do know that record because half of it is on Worldwide
Which
Live.
is like Kiss fans. Most Kiss fans know the Alive, like the semi-Kiss fans know the Alive versions. They don't know the versions from the early records.
Love Drive, one of the all-time greatest / worst covers ever.
What's the cover of that one?
The guy's sitting in the back of a limo and he's grabbing the chick's tit with a big piece of gum and the gum is attached to his hand and to her boob.
I cannot picture this cover.
I wish I could do. Can I share a screen? I wonder if I can share a screen. You disabled screen sharing. So
hold on.
If you go to it and just Google Love Drive and look up the images, you'll see it right there. If you enable screen sharing.
Hold on, I got it.
You don't know how to do that.
I do, but I don't know if I've ever seen this cover. This is unbelievable.
Amazing. And I think this is that Storm Thorgerson who did all the Pink Floyd records and like this is high art for this.
What's the year on this, Ern?
79.
Oh, okay. And what year is Worldwide Live? 83?
85.
85.
It was after the Love It First Sting tour.
Wow. Yeah, nice pick. I mean, again, I know Scorpions are a huge band, but maybe there's people out there like me that don't know that record inside and out.
It's a great album.
And once again, I'll kind of go with you on this, Joey, in that I got into Scorpions, like I knew nothing about 70s Scorpions. That's why to this day, Uli John Roth and Michael Schenker, I have no connection to them whatsoever. I got into Scorps with Blackout and then, of course, into Love It First Sting. And I thought Blackout was their first record. I didn't know. Yeah. And then when Worldwide Live came out, the furthest back they went was Animal Magnetism and Love Drive. So I went back to that. I never went back to any of that, you know, Speedy's Coming and the Top of the Bill and any of that sort of shit, and still haven't to this day. And the one thing for pure Scorpions purists, I'm sure Ernie knows, is that Love Drive is the one record that Matthias Jabs and Michael Shankar both played on. So you get
really?
Both of those guys, yeah.
Crossing.
Crossing.
Over,
I think Shankar might have started and then quit halfway through, or whatever the hell happened. Typical Michael Shankar, just him and Rudolph just have a real hate relationship.
Nice pick, Ern. I like it. Yeah, I'm a big Scorpions fan, but same way, I don't know 70s older Scorpions.
Right.
All right, I'm going to go with one. I know Chris knows this one. I know Ernie's heard of it. Kiss fans will know this record. Most hate it. I love it. And I know this, you'll probably like the other one, Chris, but I'm in love with the first Vinnie Vincent Invasion record.
But tell me that I'm wrong, and it's all in my mind. You've known all along, and it just makes my blood run wild. And I'm dying so bad on the streets. Yes, I'm bad to find somebody new. Yes, I'm bad on the streets.
I think the first one trumps the second one tenfold over. Robert Fleischman's vocals, production, and I know it's overly produced guitar-wise and drum-wise and so on and so forth. A lot of us have heard the stories, the nightmare of Vinny trying to copy the demos exactly with the drum machines and so on and so forth. But that first record, I'm a song guy. I like pop sensibilities. I like hooks. I like, all that other stuff is secondary to me. Even flashy drumming. I would much prefer a hook and a groove over, Rush or Dream Theater or anything like that. That's what I want. And that's what I got from this Vinnie Vincent record. I know there's flashy stuff all over it. Vinny's going up and down the fretboard like a maniac, like a bumblebee. And even Bobby Rock's playing like a maniac. But the songs and Fleischman's voice are undeniable on this record. Back on the Streets should have been a massive, massive hit. It's a pop song. It could be a Bryan Adams song. It could be a Rick Springfield song. Anyone who releases this song, it should have been a hit. And because of their glam look, and I didn't even realize this album came out in 1986. I always thought this album came out later for some reason, and they missed that movement. But they came out the same year as Look What the Cat Dragged In. And they looked, semi-Poison-esque. They had the big poofy hair and pink everywhere and makeup. I just don't know why this album doesn't click. Why do you think this album doesn't click with commercially, commercial radio?
Well, I'll add on to this. This was not Poison glam. This was over the top. This was way more glam than Poison. And I'll go even further to say, I'm vice versa to you. I think All Systems Go blows this one away, but I don't think the Vinnie Vincent Invasion has a bad song. Both these albums,
I agree.
Are Ecstasy's kind of weird off the second one, but every single song is great, and it's heavy, and the guitar playing is over the top, but whatever. But honestly, what didn't click, I think, is Vinnie Vincent. I don't think he had the look, the superstar look that enabled them to get bigger, because it was very much looks back then. And even though Mark Slaughter was in the band, because the Boys Are Gonna Rock video, I know it's Robert Fleischman on vocals, but nobody gives a shit. They're not listening with their ears; they're listening with their eyes. And the video was Mark Slaughter, but the star of the video by design was Vinnie Vincent.
Right.
If Vinny just would have pulled like a freaking, I don't know who we can even, a Van Halen, and just let the singer be the star until it's my turn, and then go to the back, he would have been great. But he wanted to be front, and in my opinion, wanted to be front stage for everything, because he didn't like what Kiss did, which wanted him to be the guitar player in Kiss. I think all of that kind of fed into, because material wise, it's all there. And even looks wise, Vinny in the back and put fucking Slaughter up front. Well, what more do you want?
I remember reading, tell me if you read this too, Chris, that once, Robert Fleischman's on the first record, didn't want to do the tour, didn't want to do all that stuff. They get Mark Slaughter to come in, they do the video. without Fleischman's permission, and they filmed it with Mark, and I think Fleischman sued them that it blocked the video. That's what I remember hearing. Did you ever hear this?
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, it's hard to say. I would assume that. I mean, who knows, man? It would seem it would seem that he would have no rights in the situation. It is what it is. But in the 80s, maybe I don't know.
Yeah, there might be some kind of sync license
because they had the tours. They, not to interrupt you, but they had the tours. They toured with Alice Cooper.
Yeah,
they toured with Iron Maiden.
Yeah,
I mean, those are big fucking bands. So I don't know, man. Maybe.
And then Slaughter comes down and blows up. So it's not Mark Slaughter. It's not the songwriting. The songs on the first two Vinnie Vincent records are just as good as the first Slaughter record. So if you're a Slaughter fan, go back and listen to these first two Vinnie Vincent records. It's Slaughter before Slaughter.
Yeah, I just think that Vinny was too much of a problem, and that might have derailed it. Who knows? He might have pissed somebody off at the record company, or he left his wallet at home. You know?
All right, I know you're a little pressed for time, so let's go. So you're on to your number one. What do you got? Number one.
Well, once again, number one, aka the fifth one that I chose. There's two of them that I have, and I could go one that's a little bit more mainstream or one that's a little bit more obscure. So, I mean, I'll throw it as the honorable mention.
Yeah.
Okay. The honorable mention that could be in here is Skid Row Subhuman Race.
Oh, great one.
Yeah. I don't think anybody heard this record, which blows my mind because it's the progression of the band. And you could put Warrant Dog Eat Dog in there. I think both those records are the best from those respective bands. Obviously, Bob Rock produced Subhuman Race. Sebastian sounds incredible on it. Rob Affuso is incredible on it. The songwriting is great, and just nobody fucking heard it. And it's better than Slave to the Grind as far as I'm concerned for material. I mean, Into Another, all these songs should have just been massive, massive, massive hits. So
the song Eileen is incredible.
Eileen is great. Subhuman Race, Frozen, Bonehead, Beat Yourself Blind. I mean, fuck, it just goes on and
Again,
on and
it
on.
just shows you these bands were still releasing amazing material.
Amazing stuff.
A couple albums off their biggest album. And because of marketing and just the marketplace, gone. Nobody even knows of that record.
Yeah, and once again, I mean, Slave is 91, Subhuman is 95. It might as well be 91 and fucking 1895 or whatever it is. And Sebastian was gone shortly after, and all this other stuff. But that record still stands up, and it's heavy, and it's just fucking. They finally became Skid Row, in my opinion. But it was too late, and unfortunately, nobody cared. Right?
That's their most metal album.
Oh, for sure. And not in a bad way. I mean, you could tell they toured with Pantera. They harnessed it. Slave to the Grind is heavier, but they're just throwing shit out there, in my opinion. This one, they felt, okay, we know exactly who we are, and it just fell apart afterwards. And then the other one, honorable mention that I'll throw out there, I don't know if anybody knows this. If you're a Neil Schon fan, you need to hear Hardline Double Eclipse.
I don't know.
This came out in about 92, and it has Dean Castronovo on drums and Neil Schon on guitar. And what it was is that Neil's sister married one of these two brothers called the Gielli brothers. One is the singer, one's a guitar player. And Neil said, I'll help these kids out. And it's actually Jonathan Cain on keyboards, Dean Castronovo on drums, and Neil Schon on guitar. I mean, come on.
It's Journey, right?
It's Journey. Because Journey wasn't doing anything right at this point in time. Early 90s. And
who's the singer?
The singer's a guy called Johnny Joeli. He's the brother of Joey Joeli, or vice versa.
Okay.
And Neil was married to one of their sisters.
Wow.
And dude, I'll tell you what, this is the best Journey album you've never heard. And it's all rock and roll, heavy. The two songs were Taking Me Down was one of the radio tunes. I used to hear it on KLOS all the time. And Hot Sherry was the other one. Dude, once again, Neil Schon, say no more. If you are Neil Schon fans or Dean Castronovo or Jonathan Cain, put this record on. It blows away anything. What's the other band that Neil and Jonathan had with the guy from the Babies? What was that called?
Oh,
I can't remember.
Bad English?
Bad English.
Yes.
Blows Bad English out of the water. Blows it
and
away.
is this right after Bad English?
This is right after. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So this one is the one. If you guys like Journey and like the guitar playing of Neil Schon, check it out now. That one, I gave it to Rich Ward, who's a Neil Schon fanatic. He'd never heard of it. And he's like, dude, this is the best Journey album that's not called Journey.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not only have I never heard it, I never heard of it. Yeah. I don't know it at all.
Yeah. Once again, like I spent the summer of 92 in LA just trying to find a gig, and all KLOS played was Hardline, Taking Me Down, Hardline, Hot Cherie. Keep in mind, summer of 92. Guess what happened in the fall of 92?
Of course.
Boom. So
wow.
This one definitely slipped through the cracks, and it's one that you guys should probably check out.
Nice. Yeah. That's probably what I'm going to go for first.
Yes.
That's what I'm going to consider for first.
Yes.
All right, Aaron, what do you got? Number one.
Joey's not going to be surprised. Enough's Enough, the Strength album, their second one, the second album.
Isn't it wrong? And isn't it strange that a man goes by the color of his face? And isn't it time we've drawn the line and decided to become a human race? Yeah. Behind that lover's eyes, what makes a man so tired? That he don't care if everybody lives or dies. Give him some love. Give him some love.
So good.
Yeah, it's my favorite album by them. One of my favorite groups ever. It's great stuff all the way through.
It's amazing you love them so much. Yeah,
Oh,
I might have to go
it's-
give them a read.
This band, again, it's one of those bands. My number one is going to be a band that doesn't have that many records out, but this band has so many quality records. I'm talking 10 to 12, almost from, in my opinion, perfect records, Ern, starting with their first record, Strength with their second record, all the way through. I remember in the 90s, we lost touch a little music-wise and stuff. Ernie just played something like over the phone to me. He was like, listen to this. This is like New Enough's Enough. It was like 95 or 96. I was, holy shit. People are still making good music. What the hell is this?
And they still
Musical
played.
I can't believe that. You can do that.
They still play now, right? They're still together.
Yeah, they just played M3. I mean, the singers, Donnie Vai is not singing with them right now. Chip is doing all the singing, so it's not the same.
Does he sound like this? Hey, what's going on, man? Hey, come on down.
Kind of how he sings too.
You got to buy your own ticket, but come on down to the show.
Donnie and Chip, their songwriting and their chemistry. I mean, I know they have a lot of personal problems, I think, through the years, which probably hurt their music careers. But just they're to me, and I'm a big Beatles fan. They really are the closest thing to the Beatles, not only song quality wise, but the amount of songs and the amount of records that they have with such high quality.
Joe, when you talk about personal problems, you mean to say drugs?
I don't. They possibly, yes.
They actually have a song called "My Heroin."
Yeah,
on one of the albums.
Yeah, if you really listen to the lyrics on like Tweaked and stuff like that, or that's the name of the record, Tweaked. If you listen to the lyrics on these records, you can kind of see what's going on in their personal lives. But I mean, listen, the Beatles, the White Album, they're out of their minds on that record. So
out of their minds on Love Me Do. What are you talking about?
Good point. Great picker, and I love that record. I mean, we played that to death when it first came out. Remember?
Yep.
All right. My number one band I absolutely love. Songwriter, vocalist, one of my top of all time, Steve Plunkett. Autograph. I'm not going to go with the typical first Autograph album, even though it's a big hit. I'm not going to go with that one. I'm not going to even go with the second Autograph album. I'm going with the third Autograph album, Loud and Clear.
Wake up in a cold sweat, reaching out and calling your name.
this record, Andy Johns produced it. He produced Cinderella's 2 records. He produced Van Halen's For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. The sonics of this record are perfect, even timing-wise. This is my one record that I picked. Come here, Joe. This is the one record that I picked, is my son Joe. That
Hey, buddy.
the one record that I picked that should have been big because timing-wise came out in 1987. Autograph should still be on the top of their game right now. Songs on this record, hit after hit after hit. Every Time I Dream should have been as big as Never Say Goodbye by Bon Jovi. That's how much these songs are high-quality pop sensibility songs. And again, for some reason, I don't know if it was Plunkett's goofy red hair, something about this band just turned off the public. And I don't know what it is. They had the big hit, obviously, Turn Up the Radio from their first record. But something about this band just never caught on. I don't know what it was. They even had one of the songs on this record in the movie. I don't know if you remember the movie Like Father, Like Son. Kirk Cameron and Dudley Moore, they switch places. It's a great movie. I loved it only because Autograph.
What you don't know is Autograph was Dudley Moore's favorite heavy metal band.
Is that really? That's not true, is it?
I actually just, and of course it's not true. It was enough's enough. I watched Dance All Night recently, which is kind of and once again, the single they're playing live, the chicks are on stage. It looks fun. And I agree with you. It's almost the same as Y&T, and you could put Contagious on here, a bunch of different bands. Did they look too old? Were they too old? I mean, I saw them open for Motley Crue on the Theater of Pain tour, which was 85. That probably is the biggest tour in the United States for that year. What happened to Autograph that didn't take them to the next level? I honestly don't know, because the guy had red hair. He's kind of goofy, but I don't know. He had charisma at least. I don't know.
Turn Up the Radio to me should have been, it was a pretty big song, but it should have been just as big as Come On, Feel the Noise. We're Not Going to Take It. It's that quality of song. Same years, 84, I think, Turn Up the Radio. They should explode at that point, and they just don't. It's really baffles me.
I'll tell you a couple of things. The same thing happened with one of my all-time favorite bands, Kick-Axe, which I was going to put on here, but that's a whole other trip. So Kick-Axe had an album called Vices, and they toured with Priest. They toured with Scorpions. They went gold in Canada. They might have even gone gold in the States. Like, they were fucking huge. The lead singer was a good-looking guy. He could sing great. If you guys haven't heard the album Vices by Kick-Axe, that's another one to put on there. Next record comes out. They call it Welcome to the Club, and the first single is a cover of With a Little Help from My Friends.
Oh.
Now, they had a song on there called Hellraisers, which was just an unbelievable song. They open the set with it to this day when they play. If they would have called the second record Hellraisers and the first single was the song Hellraisers, and maybe that didn't work in 85. Maybe hell was not allowed.
Yeah.
It would have been different. And they went right down the toilet because of it. I'm wondering if that's the stuff. I remember seeing that going, this is a stupid cover and it's a stupid title. And as a kid, that was it. I was out. And maybe by the time Loud and Clear came out, which if it would have been the name of the second record with the same cover, because it was a cool cover, maybe it would have continued. But that's the stuff just didn't fit. I didn't like it. And I was done. Boom.
It's funny. You can really almost trace back these little missteps by change people's lives and careers. Ernie comes to that playground rehearsal. Who knows? We're big, right? We're giants right now. We're touring the world. But, you can always pin back, to something. We talked about, flip-flopping, come out and play, and you can't stop rock and roll. Same type of deal.
Same thing.
You just never know. That one little misstep or the one thing that they didn't do perfectly causes the collapse.
Perfect. We mentioned too, like, come out and play. They've got a ton of fucking heavy songs. They got a ton of super catchy. We're not going to take it. So I know what you want. We got whatever. But they go with Leader of the Pack. And I remember as a kid going, this is fucking stupid. You can't pull the wool over a kid's eyes, a teenager's eyes. So maybe that was the problem with Autograph. Maybe by the time the third record came out, it had already gone so far down, they couldn't have made it back.
They couldn't get it back up. Nobody cared anymore. And, once you lose the support of the label and management and all that stuff, then you're done.
Also,
Boys?
the singer had to have the right look back then, if not the whole band.
Yeah,
Photograph did not have it.
I
you're
think
right.
that's a problem too. I really
right.
do. As great as Steve Plunkett was, he did look a little older. I'm not sure if he was older or not, and he had that Ronald
looked like
McDonald hair.
Well, and that's the thing. And look at who they're up against. It's the same thing with Y&T. If you guys have ever seen the documentary for Y&T, it makes perfect sense. And I was not a huge Y&T fan, even though I really liked Contagious. I thought that was a great song. They had no poster boy look. And if you're going up against Vince Neil or Bon Jovi, even the Scorpions, nobody was hot in that band, but they looked together.
Cool. Yeah.
They looked fucking cool.
Yeah.
They looked like rock stars. And Ozzy was there, and whoever, even Bruce looked like a singer, and everybody. James Hetfield, he was a good looking, dirty skid guy.
They had a look. It was just whatever. It was a cohesive look. You're right.
And the chicks could go, oh, fucking James, he's hot, or Lars, he's cute. Nobody in Autograph fit that. Lots of tight perm, like even
the drummer had that permed hair like this.
And so did Steve Lynch, the guitar player. Did nobody in that band looked like a fucking rock star?
True. Yeah, it's crazy.
You
All right, boy. I know you got to go. I know you're pressed for time.
I got a couple minutes, and there's no rush. I've got a couple minutes.
Great episode. I love talking about, especially stuff that we can introduce to other people, introduce to me. Love reminiscing. That's what the show's about. Talking about stuff we loved growing up.
Let's go over our top 5. Just kind of put a button on it.
Yes.
So the
honorable mentions.
So the 5 that I chose were Harem Scarum Mood Swings, Danger, Danger, Screw It, Trickster Here, Shotgun Messiah, and then I had Hardline Double Eclipse, Skid Row's Subhuman Race, and we also mentioned Warrant, Dog Eat Dog, and Kick-Axe Vices. If you want to hear some tunes, those are the ones that I had.
That's a great list. I'll include the list too at the end of this episode. Ernie, what you know yours? I'll read yours if you don't have it.
I got it. Twisted Sister, You Can't Stop Rock and Roll, Striper, Soldiers Under Command, Love Hate, Blackout in the Red Room, Scorpions, Love Drive, and Chris's favorite band, Enough's Enough, Strength.
Mine, I'll start where you ended, Ernie. Enough's Enough. The album is called 1985. Number 4, Xenon, Xenon, Xenon on Spotify now. Number 3, Badlands, either the first or the second. Take your pick. I would start with the first. Number 2, Vinnie Vincent Invasion, first record. Same way with Badlands. You really can't go wrong with either one, but I prefer the first one because of the vocals. So phenomenal. Robert Fleischman. And my number 1, Autograph, Loud and Clear. If I had to name one honorable mention or 2 honorable mentions, we talked about it earlier. Love is for Suckers by Twisted Sister. Great pop metal album. It's not like, definitely not like Under the Blade or You Can't Stop Rock and Roll, but Love is for Suckers, hit after hit after hit, really pop sensibilities. And to me, another underrated record that doesn't get its due. It's probably platinum at this point, but Bon Jovi, 7,800 Degrees Fahrenheit. I think it's a forgotten record. I think people start with Slippery When Wet. I love 7,800 Degrees Fahrenheit. Tokyo Road, Only Lonely. You know, these are songs that I was a big Bon Jovi fan way before Slippery came out. I think it's a forgotten record that people should go back and listen to.
Do you know what 7,800 is?
The melting point of rock, of course.
Doc McGee told me that. It's the melting point of rock. And by the way, it has gone platinum at this point.
But again, even like that, is that their misstep right there? That ridiculous title? Is that why that record doesn't blow up maybe?
Yeah, maybe. I don't see it as that. Like I said, like to me, there was the natural progression because I bet you that Runaway, whatever the first one was called, you think that one is more than platinum?
Probably, just because they're Bon Jovi, but that record's not that good.
Yeah, I don't think that there was a misstep because it had like In and Out of Love on it, but I don't know any of these other songs. Only Lonely, I don't know. Hardest Part of the Night and Silent Night. I don't know any of these tunes.
You don't know Silent Night was a big song for. Oh, that's a big.
Maybe not in Canada.
Nah, if you play it, you'd recognize it. I bet you probably didn't even know it was Bon Jovi. That's a big
platinum
song
in the States too. Yes, there you go. So,
Killer Boys,
stuff, guys. Thank you,
Chris. Where can we get your new book? Where can we get it?
Jericho 30, Jericho30.com. I self-published it the same way you did. and it's been going through the roof. It's like it's actually selling. We've done over half the original printing in the first week, so we already have to start thinking about a second printing, which is great because, like I said, when I came up with the concept of it, which is a list of every match I've ever had that I've been keeping for the last 30 years. I took it to my publisher, and this is a 4-time New York Times bestseller. And they went, "Oh, it's too esoteric and it's too much of a niche product." And I was like, "All right, fuck it. I'll just go do it myself." Joey helped me get the idea. And here I am, dude. I can't keep them on the proverbial shelves.
Do I get a percentage of this book because of that?
Absolutely. Check
Okay.
is actually in the mail. I'm sending it to Playground at the Bronx. 3570 is the area code, zip code, whatever the fuck it is.
Oh, boy.
Ernie, any last words? What do you got?
Oh, I had an honorable mention. The Playground compilations.
You know, it's not, you know what? It's not on Spotify yet, but you can find it on the all famous YouTube. It is
Also
on YouTube.
self-published.
Definitely self-published. Chris, it was a great time. Send
Thanks,
us your
guys.
email. Send us your list of top 5 with Joey Casada at gmail.com. Give us your top 5 hair metal albums that we should own that we probably don't. See you next time, everyone.